I've seen a couple DUI cases in my day, thousands actually. Our firm does maybe 400 or 500 DUI cases every year. And so I can tell you what maybe makes a case go right and makes a case go wrong. So what we're going to talk about in this video are the top 7 mistakes that people make when fighting their DUI case. Plus, stick around, I'm going to give you a bonus at the end. All right, and the 7th biggest mistake that people make when fighting their case is just not being open and honest and transparent with their lawyer. Guys, attorney-client privilege is a real thing. We will not and don't even want to go disclose these, sort of private details that come up during our attorney-client relationship. I don't even want to go disclose them to anybody else. Lawyers don't. So attorney-client privilege is a real thing. We need the information sometimes, most of the time, right? If we're asking you a question, we want the truth. We want the answer because that is how we prepare a defense, right? Like if you're not being honest with me, I can't go into court and make these arguments, or I may step into some shit, right? If I'm basing it off of misinformation, right? And that is not what you want. I'm not going to get in trouble. You're the one who's going to have perhaps a worst outcome on your case. So you got to be honest with your lawyer. The truth is, we don't care. Our role in this is not to judge you. That's what the judge does. Our role in this is to prevent, as best we can, the prosecution from proving the case against you. Or reaching some sort of agreement in that case. So that's our role in this. It's not to judge you. You're by far and away, your best bet is to just be open and honest with your attorney because it is essential to your defense. And the 6th biggest mistake that someone makes is waiting too long to hire an attorney. You see, the moment that you are arrested for a DUI here in Illinois, you're on the clock. There's typically a suspension that happens 45 days on the 46th day after your arrest. So they release you from the police station and you are on the clock. And most of the time you don't even know it. So who's the person that's going to help you with this? Your lawyer. We want to and try to stop the pending suspension of your driver's license. But I would much rather have, 44 days to work on that suspension than 4, right? So if you just wait and blow the majority of those 45 days, well then not only you're not giving me enough time, you're not really helping yourself, right? So myself and all the other lawyers, we charge the same amount either way. So you might as well call a lawyer right after you get arrested, start interviewing them, start talking to them, learning about the process, find the lawyer you like, and not only is your case better off, but like you're giving more time to your lawyer, right? Like you don't want this case to go on forever. You want this done with, so start earlier, get it done earlier, right? And you can even have a better outcome. You can. Like there's videos and police reports and all these things that your lawyer needs to request from the prosecutor. We get them. The sooner we do that, the sooner we get it. That is a good thing. Evidence can, disappear, more time goes by, witnesses, disappear, stuff that may be helpful for your case. So get a lawyer on your side right away. And my clients tell us that they sleep better at night as soon as they have retained us as their lawyer. And the number 5 mistake that people make on their DUI case is rushing the process to get it over with. Now, let me first say, I get it. You don't want to keep taking a day off work to go to court and you're losing sleep at night and you're worried about this outcome. I totally understand. You want this done with, but you need it done the right way. So do not rush it. Sometimes an old case can be a good case, right? There may be a reason or a strategy for this. And so trust your lawyer, trust the process. Here, let's think of it like this. Every case, in the end, goes one of 2 directions. You either go to trial or you reach some sort of an agreement. And that agreement can be a lot of things. I mean, it could be an agreement to dismiss it. It can be agreement to go to jail, right? That can cover a lot. But a trial is a bit of a straighter path, right? You're either guilty or not guilty at the end of that path. So what a lawyer is going to do is they're going to oftentimes, at least what we'll do, is negotiate the heck out of it, right? Back and forth, and push to see sort of what that best outcome is. what that best outcome is that can be negotiated. Because then, and only then, can you really make an informed decision about whether or not you want a trial, right? That's where those two paths play off of each other. If you fully know what that negotiation is, then you can say, well, is the risk here of going to trial worth it? Because obviously a trial's great when you win, not so great when you lose, and you don't know the outcome of a trial. As much as we might be able to recommend or give our best guess, you don't truly know. Nobody truly knows the outcome of the trial. So weighing that against the alternative that is negotiated is the smart move. And that negotiation can be, take many rounds in many different forms. That's oftentimes the delay on your case. I also want your case done preferably in 2 months rather than 2 years, right? Of course, our interests are aligned. But it's really important that the case is handled the right way. We don't rush it, so we're certain that we're getting you the best possible outcome. All right, and the fourth mistake that you may make when fighting your DUI is just not fully realizing or appreciating just how impactful a conviction on your record will be. The tendency sometimes, especially if it's gone on for months, like the last one was, just kind of get it over with. Pause. Because a conviction is the number one thing to avoid on most normal misdemeanor DUI cases. You just don't want the conviction because, well, not only that's what goes on your record, right? And here in Illinois, a conviction triggers a revocation of your driver's license, right? So there's a difference between suspended, not being able to drive for a certain period of time, and being revoked. Your license is gone. It is not that easy of a process to get it back. So the best bet is to avoid the conviction in the first place whenever possible. Now, of course, sometimes you can't do that. Sometimes your priorities are much different, like not going to jail or whatever. But on most normal misdemeanor first-time DUI cases, your goal is to avoid a conviction. So make sure that your interests are aligned with your attorney in achieving that goal. And the third mistake that people make is listening to advice from non-lawyers. Even lawyers that don't do this every day are not going to give you great advice. Here, let's just talk about all the things that can go wrong here. So you start Googling stuff, right? Which of course Google can be a great resource, but there's 50 states and they all have different DUI laws, different processes, procedures, penalties, all that stuff, right? And so you better make darn sure that you're reading a blog or whatever it is, you're watching a video, whatever it is, that it's applicable to your state because there's 50 different laws. By the way, this is about Illinois only. And then even within Illinois, even though the law is the same, there's a lot of nuance and variance between the way that counties handle this, right? There are 102 counties in Illinois. So, you may be reading about something from a downstate lawyer, and that just is not the way it works in Chicago or vice versa. So that's a mistake I see a lot of people make too. And then here's the obvious, right? Like your case is not the same as your cousin's or your neighbor's sister's uncle's best friend's cousin who is telling you all about how their DUI worked, right? Like the facts may be different, like, obviously a high breathalyzer or an accident or injuring and hurting or killing somebody, changes a case. Having a valid license or not having a valid license, immigration concerns, professional licenses, right? If you're a doctor, a lawyer, a real estate agent, a nurse, those things that you have, those licenses that you have may cause the case to be handled different than someone who's not. So just a lot of terrible advice out there. So just be very careful because I'd hate to see it kind of go too far down a path that is just based off of incorrect information or bullshit information. And the number 2 mistake that I see some people make is just not taking court very seriously or court etiquette very seriously. This is a problem these days, and I don't understand it, right? Back in the day, well, first of all, all those old time photos where like everyone was dressed up in like a top hat and a suit all the time, right? Those days are long gone, right? Everyone's just wearing sweatpants, right? These days, the whole world just wears sweatpants. So that's a problem for court. You probably don't want to do that. I'm not saying you got to wear a tuxedo, but you probably should wear dress pants and a dress shirt. You can skip the tie, but look professional for court. And COVID made it even worse, right? Like a lot of court went online, right? For Zoom. There's Zoom court these days. Not everywhere, but many places have Zoom court. And there's something about it, like people just don't think it's court anymore. They're like, we've had clients, who are laying in bed with their shirt off and their girlfriend, boyfriend in bed, people getting their hair cut while on Zoom, driving in the car while they have a suspended license, and it's just stuff that the judge is just not really going to be a fan of. And I'm not saying you got to be best friends with the judge, but you certainly don't want the judge to recognize you and know you and remember you throughout your case as that person who doesn't have any respect for the court. And the number one mistake I see people make when they're fighting a DUI case is, surprisingly, not even about the DUI case. So listen in here. The huge mistake that I see people make is driving on a suspended license while they're fighting their DUI case. Let me explain. So many times when you are arrested for DUI, most of the time when you're arrested for DUI, there's going to be a suspension of your driver's license that accompanies that. Now, we fight that and there's ways to overturn it and all that stuff, right? But many people have either a 6 or a 12-month suspension shortly after a DUI. 45 days after a DUI. And if you don't realize that, or you ignore it, or you don't care about that, and you continue to drive, I'm telling you guys, I see it every day, the way the world works. The world works in mysterious ways. And if you are driving around with a suspended license, you will get caught. Just the way it goes, right? Weird things happen. Someone bumps into you, or, could not even be your fault at all. They pull you over for something stupid, right? The license plate sticker on your car is expired. Like so many different things that cause you to get pulled over. And if you are driving around without a valid license, while it's suspended, you're just making life worse. Not only do you catch a new case, they may take your car and impound your car. But it's not doing you any favors on your DUI case either, right? Now you were on bond for your DUI case, right? And now you caught a new case. That judge on your DUI case is not going to be too pleased with you. So you make our job harder, happens all the time, but makes our job harder. And it's obviously quite avoidable. When we represent clients, we will obviously make them very aware of whether or not their license is suspended or not. If it is suspended, there's some things we can do, like getting a monitoring device driving permit and a paid and things like that that'll still allow you to drive to work and move around. So there's options. You just got to actually be the type of person that cares and follows through on how to make sure you're in compliance. All right, and now the bonus tip here on mistakes to avoid while fighting your DUI case. And I'm sorry, but I got to say it, hiring the wrong lawyer is a big, big mistake. And I'm in court every day and I see it. People either just think they don't need a lawyer. Judge usually corrects you on that. Judge is usually like, you need a lawyer. Come back with a lawyer. But then they hire the cheapest sort of, low-priced, I won't name names here, but bonehead lawyer who's not, maybe they don't do DUIs every day and they're just like, yeah, I'll take it. Or they don't practice in that courthouse every day and they're not really sure of the procedures and they're learning on the job. Or they are the DUI lawyer and they do these cases in that courthouse. They're just terrible. They haven't actually updated their practices or tried for the last 30 years, right? And I'm not naming names here, but like any profession, there is a variance here in the quality of a professional. And it's a hard thing for you to do. I don't envy you when it comes to trying to go out there in the world and interview lawyers and figure out which one is the best for you. It's a hard thing to do, but it is critical. It is essential that you get that right because mistakes can be very, very costly. So in closing, how do you do that? You definitely want someone that only does DUIs. You want someone that's in that courthouse every day. You want someone with hundreds or perhaps even thousands of reviews online from other people, and you read through them and you're like, yeah, that sounds real. That's a real. You probably want someone who's out there in the world showing you that they know what they're talking about. Otherwise, you just probably run a risk of a guy who's a pretender. And I don't want to see you do that because mistakes are costly. So there are my 7+ bonus tips on mistakes to avoid while fighting your DUI case. I hope you found it helpful. Thanks for watching.